clarity and confidence. First, he is taking responsibility for his own desires. He's not asking for permission. He's not testing the waters. He is being direct. And here's a secret of female psychology. Women are attracted to men who know what they want. Why? Because it signals leadership. It signals that you are capable of making decisions, that you won't dump the responsibility of choosing onto her shoulders. Think about it with me. When you say, I don't know, maybe we could do something later if you want, what are you communicating? Insecurity, fear of rejection, lack of direction. Now compare that with, I want to take you out to dinner on Saturday. I know an incredible place. Feel the difference. You aren't begging. You are leading. You are creating an experience. And look, this isn't about being aggressive. It's about being assertive. It's about having the courage to take up space in the world and say, this is what I want. When you do this, you activate something in her brain called sexual polarity. You position yourself as the masculine force that takes initiative and that naturally awakens the feminine side that wants to be led. Now, the second word, and this is the one that changes everything, is I appreciate. Pay attention here, because this is where the real magic happens. If you only use I want, you can come off as self-centered. It might seem like you are only interested in taking something from the interaction. But when you combine I want with I appreciate, you create the perfect balance. You show that you are a man of initiative, but also a man of emotional depth. Let me give you a clear example. Imagine you're talking to a woman you're interested in. Instead of just saying, I want to see you again, you say, I want to see you again because I really appreciate the way you think. Talking with you has a depth that is rare. Do you see what just happened? You aren't only expressing desire. You are showing that you see her, that you value who she is as a person. And that, my friend, is absolutely irresistible. Why? Because most men only compliment appearance. They only focus on the physical, but you are going deeper. You are acknowledging her essence. And here is the most powerful part. When you appreciate genuinely, you aren't needing her. You are choosing her. And women can feel that difference from miles away. If this is making sense to you, leave a like down below. It shows me you're serious about leveling up. Now let me tell you about the mistake that destroys all of this. The mistake is using these words without congruence. Do you know what congruence is? It's when your body language, your tone of voice, and your words are all aligned. If you say, I want to take you to dinner, but your shoulders are slumped, you're looking at the floor and your voice is shaky. The message doesn't land. Your body is screaming insecurity while your words are trying to sound confident. And women don't just listen to words. They read energy. They read certainty. They read the emotional signal behind what you're saying. This is why some men can say the exact same sentence as another man and get a completely different reaction. Because the words are not the full message. The way you carry them is. Now here's the detail almost no one talks about, and this is the part that separates the forgettable man from the unforgettable one. It's not just saying I want and I appreciate. It's the timing. It's when you say them. Most men wait too long to express desire. They wait until the woman is already emotionally checked out, or they wait until the moment has passed, or they say it in a way that feels like they're asking for approval. And other men express desire too early before there's any connection, which makes them look desperate or thirsty. But the man who becomes unforgettable knows how to place these words in the exact emotional moment when they hit her nervous system the hardest. Let me explain. A woman's emotional brain is constantly scanning for two things. One, is this man safe? And two, is this man strong? I appreciate speaks to safety. It tells her, I see you, I value you, I respect you. I want speaks to strength. It tells her, I'm not afraid to desire. I'm not afraid to lead. I'm not afraid to choose. When you use these two words together at the right moment, you trigger both of those signals at the same time. And that combination is rare. Most men are only one or the other. They are either too safe, too polite, too passive, too friendly, and they get placed in the nice guy category, or they are too strong, too pushy, too intense, too sexual, too fast, and they get rejected because she doesn't feel emotionally safe. But when you become the man who can do both, you stand out instantly. Now, let me give you another example, because this is where a lot of men get it wrong. Let's say you're on a date and she says something personal. Maybe she talks about her childhood. Maybe she talks about something she struggled with. Maybe she reveals a fear or an insecurity. Most men either ignore it and change the subject because they feel uncomfortable, or they try to fix it like a therapist. But the man who understands emotional communication does something different. He says, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. That's it. That one sentence creates emotional bonding because it tells her, I'm not scared of your emotions. I'm not overwhelmed by your vulnerability. I can handle depth. Then, later in the conversation, after connection has been built, he adds, and I want to keep getting to know you. Now those words land like a hammer because she feels both seen and desired. And that is the emotional cocktail that makes a woman replay you in her mind after the date ends. Now let's talk about something important, especially for older men. As you get older, your advantage is not youth. Your advantage is emotional maturity. A younger man might have looks. He might have energy. He might have excitement. But most younger men do not have emotional clarity. They don't know how to communicate desire without being needy. They don't know how to express appreciation without sounding fake. They don't know how to hold emotional tension without collapsing into jokes or nervousness. But you can. And this is why these two words become even more powerful with age. Because when an older man says, I want, it carries weight. It carries presence. And when an older man says, I appreciate, it carries depth. It feels grounded. It feels real. Now, I want you to understand something. A lot of men think attraction is about saying the perfect line. They think if they just memorize the right sentence, women will respond. But attraction is not built through lines. Attraction is built through emotional experiences. And I want and I appreciate are not pickup lines. They are emotional signals. They tell her what kind of man you are. They tell her whether you have direction. They tell her whether you have emotional intelligence. They tell her whether you are capable of choosing a woman without begging for her validation. Now, here's another mistake that destroys your power with these words: overusing them. If you say, I want every 5 minutes, it loses impact. If you say, I appreciate for everything she does, it starts to feel like you're trying to win her. The power comes from precision. The power comes from using them when it matters. When you say, I appreciate, it should be connected to something meaningful, something specific, not just, I appreciate your dress. That's fine, but it's shallow. Instead say, I appreciate how comfortable you are being yourself. That's rare. Or, I appreciate how you listen. You don't just wait for your turn to talk. Or, I appreciate how you carry yourself. It feels calm being around you. Now you're speaking to her identity. And when you speak to a woman's identity, you go straight into her emotional brain. Now let's talk about the voice, because this is another part most men miss. When you say, I want, your voice should slow down. Not because you're trying to sound dramatic, but because certainty is calm. Nervousness is fast. When a man is unsure, he speaks quickly. He rambles. He fills silence. But when a man is confident, he speaks with space. He allows the words to land. And when you say, I appreciate, your voice should soften slightly. Not weak, not apologetic, just warmer. Because appreciation is an emotional signal, and women are highly sensitive to emotional tone. Now let me explain the science behind why these two words work. The female brain is highly tuned to emotional context. Women process communication in layers. They hear the words, yes, but they also hear the meaning behind the words. They hear what the words imply about your emotional state. They hear what the words imply about your confidence. They hear what the words imply about your intention. I want communicates intention. I appreciate communicates recognition. And when a woman feels recognized, she feels connected. When she feels connected, she becomes open. And when she becomes open, desire can grow naturally. This is why men who are emotionally clear are so attractive, because they create emotional safety and emotional excitement at the same time. Now let's get into a real-life scenario. Let's say you're texting a woman. Most men text like this. Hey, how are you? She replies. Then he says, what are you doing? She replies. Then he says, cool. And the conversation dies. That's not attraction. That's just noise. Now watch the difference. You text her, I want to see you this week. I appreciate how easy it is to talk to you. Let's grab coffee on Thursday. That message does three things. It shows leadership, it shows emotional awareness, and it gives a clear plan. And a woman reading that feels something. She feels chosen. She feels valued, and she feels like you are a man who knows what he's doing. Now here's another situation. Let's say you're already in a relationship. These two words become even more important because long-term attraction is not maintained through gifts. It's not maintained through money. It's maintained through emotional presence. A woman in a relationship wants to feel two things. She wants to feel desired, and she wants to feel appreciated. And the tragedy is that most men stop doing both. They stop expressing desire because they think it's obvious. They stop expressing appreciation because they get comfortable. And slowly, the relationship loses emotional energy. But when you keep using these two words in a real grounded way, you keep the emotional bond alive. You say, I want you. Not in a needy way, in a calm way, in a certain way, and you say, I appreciate you, not as a routine, but as a truth. Now, let me tell you the part that most men will not do, but the men who do it become unforgettable. You have to be willing to risk being rejected, because I want is a risk. It puts you out there. It makes your intention clear, and many men avoid that because they don't want to feel exposed. But that's exactly why women respect it, because it shows courage, and courage is attractive. Now, I want to give you a final example, and I want you to really feel the difference. Imagine a woman is leaving after a date. Most men say, I had a great time. That's fine, but it's forgettable. Now imagine you look at her and you say, I want to see you again, and I appreciate the way you make me feel when I'm around you. That sentence is simple, but it hits deep because it communicates desire and emotional recognition at the same time, and she will feel that. Now, before I close this, I want to remind you of the key point. The words themselves are not magic. The magic is the emotional signal behind them. If you use them to manipulate, women will feel it. If you use them to get something, women will feel it. But if you use them as a man who is clear, grounded, and emotionally present, they become powerful. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you talk to a woman, practice this. Say what you want and say what you appreciate, but do it with calm certainty. Do it with alignment. Do it with honesty. Because when you master these two words, you stop being just another guy. You become the man she remembers. You become the man she feels. You become the man she can't stop thinking about. And that's the difference. Your words are meant to project confidence, and the female brain is extremely sensitive to these small mismatches. It's like an emotional lie detector. So when you say, I want, you need to be standing tall, looking her in the eyes with your chest open. When you say, I appreciate, you need to pause, slow down the rhythm of your speech, and let the sincerity come through. This is exactly the kind of depth I explain in my complete guide, Attraction Secrets. In that guide, I teach not only what to say, but how to adjust your energy, your presence, so that every word that comes out of your mouth carries real emotional weight. And there is one more important thing: timing. Look, you're not going to go around saying, I want and I appreciate in every conversation like a robot. That would feel strange. You use these words in key moments when you really want to show clear intent, when you want to create an emotional memory. For example, at the end of a date that felt special, you look into her eyes and say, I want to do this again. I really appreciate the energy you bring. Done. You just created a strong emotional anchor. Now, every time she thinks of you, she will remember that feeling of being seen, valued, and desired all at the same time. If you want to go deeper into this,